Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to the session on wealth creation. And I want to approach wealth creation in maybe a different way than you're normally thinking about it. I mean, how many of you have ever used a financial advisor or financial planner for yourself to create wealth? Okay, so some of you have. I want to actually approach wealth creation from a different perspective. There's a saying some of you heard before that if you measure a person's wealth just by their money, you're missing the main parts of their wealth. Money is an important component of wealth, and money gives us a lot of options and choices in life that we wouldn't have otherwise. And we do want to talk about how to create more wealth in terms of money and income here, but I want to actually invite you to hold it in the context of who we are as a human being, our true wealth. And what would be some of the things that you think are included in a measure of wealth that don't include money? What would they be? Anyone? Community. Time. Integrity. Yeah. Meaningful work. Contribution. Making a difference. Yeah, relationships. Who wants to be wealthy alone? I don't know. Maybe somebody does. But for me, it's truly about being wealthy in the context of being in a community of people. Anything else you can think of? Having our health. Yeah. How about power? Having personal power. Being a powerful person. Yeah? How about spirituality? How about having a relationship with something beyond our ego? Is that important for wealth? Yeah. Making a change, yeah. In others, ourselves, our world. Yeah. So wealth is not necessarily narrowly defined in its fullest sense. It's a very complex and evolving thing. At some point in life, our relationship to our spiritual nature may be more important than our relationship to our work in the world. And other times that may flip back and forth. Sometimes our relationship to our family and our children may be the most important thing, and other times that may shift. But I want to talk about wealth and wealth creation in the context of this new world we find ourselves in, and specifically the new economy. Because the rules of wealth creation have shifted, fundamentally shifted, maybe never to return. Now, if you look back in the past how wealth was created, probably some of you are familiar that wealth was created from the land, growing things, and then making things, and then working on things, then knowing about things. And today, we're in a new world. Now, there's still people that grow things for us. But in the old days, it was 90 to 95, maybe even 98% of the people grew things, and that was it. Most of the world was employed in just feeding ourselves. Today, less than 3% of the people grow enough food for all of us. So we could still grow things, but there's been a shift in how wealth is created. Let's look at the new economy versus the old economy. What are some of the characteristics of the old economy and the new economy? So let's look at that, because this will give us some clues as to what the strategies are to help us create wealth. So who has some ideas about the old versus the new? What are some of the characteristics of the old economy? What were some of the things that had to happen here for you to create financial wealth? Competition. Yeah, heavy competition, right? Yeah, competition versus collaboration. Very, very important. What about that? Any thoughts about that, anybody? Isn't it true that today, in the old days, if you were a farmer, you kind of worked independently, didn't you? Or if you were in a factory, you were a worker. You were a unit. Yeah, you were part of a team, but you didn't have much say about that. But today, isn't it true that we work in teams? People who are able to work in teams to collaborate are the people who are getting ahead. And even having extent to the teams or virtual teams. There's a lot of opportunity today, particularly in network marketing, to work in virtual teams. Isn't it true that your downlines are shifting pretty much all the time? New people coming in, old people maturing and advancing, maybe people leaving, retiring, or just dropping. But the teams that we work in, we have to become experts in team building and collaboration. First of all, we have to attract people. We have to recruit them, kind of sell them on our vision and incorporate their vision into our vision, right? And then we have to be able to manage teams, and not manage in the sense of direct, but manage in the sense of manage expectations, manage process, and manage outcomes, right? So that's very clearly the new economy. What else? What are some other characteristics of the old economy? Yes?
I think if we're talking about wealth creation,
Yeah.
old versus new,
Yeah.
I think what I see in relationship to these two things is a shift in people's consciousness.
Ah,
From
shifting consciousness.
there's only so much.
Yes.
And if I have
Okay.
something, you'll miss out.
Okay.
So
Scarcity versus abundance.
Abundance, which
Yeah.
is we can create whatever we want because there is enough for everybody.
Scarcity versus abundance. And let's look at this. This is critical. What was there a scarcity of, and what is there abundance of in the old and new economies? What was scarce in the old economy? Resources? Like what? Time, money, commodities, physical resources? A lot of economics is built on, classic economics is built on the management of scarce resources, the allocation of scarce resources. Now, in the new field of economics, it's not about scarcity. Is there a scarcity of ideas? Is there a scarcity of electrons? Is there even a scarcity of money? I mean, you may have personally have some scarcity, but look, look at the history of money. Money was created by people for 3 or 4 things. A store of wealth. So if you had money, you could store your wealth away where you couldn't store meat because it goes off. It was as a barter instrument for transactions. Make it easier for third-party transactions. You didn't have to swap wheat for meat. You could actually get the money and go buy something else. It was also a unit of measurement. You could measure your wealth by the amount of money you had, right? But isn't it true, I mean, some of those are still valid, but isn't it true that money originally was a commodity, like a metal, and then it moved to script, to paper? Some of us still carry this paper money around, but increasingly, I have some paper money on me, but I don't use it. Even if I'm buying like a $2 bottle of water, I'll use a credit card because it's easier for the accountant, right? Now, is there a scarcity of money? Because you've probably heard that the printing presses are running 24/7. It's not that there's a scarcity of paper out there, because they can print this paper all day of the week. There's lots of that around. Now it's electrons. It's electrons. If you have one of these pieces of plastic called a credit card, is there any scarcity of money? I mean, you could theoretically buy a gazillion-dollar jet aircraft if you wanted with a credit card. Even money is no longer scarce the way it was. They can add some more zeros onto the end of the national debt, so to speak, and create more money. But what is there a scarcity of in the new economy? What is there scarcity of? Yeah, time's a big one, right? Scarcity of time. I mean, we can create more time in ourselves. What is there a scarcity of in the new economy? Yeah, consciousness, acceptance, understanding. Now that's a short-term scarcity because, by talking and considering ideas like this and by collaborating, we can create more consciousness. So that's an infinite resource, so it's not really scarce, it's maybe our access is limited at this point, right? But increasingly, we're an economy, the new economy is based in abundance. There's an abundance of people in network marketing that want your product and the opportunity. In the old days, in network marketing, there was a scarcity. How many people could I personally run into? In the 20 years ago or so, we built our first downlines. Some of you probably remember that a long distance call was a big deal. Now maybe your parents or your grandparents, when a call came in long distance, it was an event. Honey, come on the phone. They're calling long distance. And people are all nervous and they didn't want to talk long because it was, dollars per second or something. And today it's part of your phone plan. I mean, you don't think I'll call next state or I'll call, and increasingly you can call around the world and it's the same, it's nothing, right? So that's shifted. So now we can access more people. We can talk to more people. And I haven't even mentioned the big one, right? The internet, email, social media. Now we can access hundreds, if not thousands, and maybe tens or hundreds of thousands of people. So there's no longer a scarcity of prospects, are there? There's an abundance of people we can influence in network marketing. Okay? What are some of the other characteristics of the old economy that are different from the new economy? Yeah.
I'm thinking of power. Like in the old, everybody gives their power away, whether it be
Yeah.
to the doctor or to their boss.
Right.
And there's something about giving power away and then being empowered.
Yep.
Kind of the thing I'm seeing.
Hierarchy.
Yeah.
So power. We were in a different power structure in the old economy. Now we're super empowered. You have at your disposal, with literally one fingertip, more power than Napoleon, Hitler, Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great. These huge world-dominating personalities, you have more power in your little finger now. You can push a button and have a light go on. That wasn't even possible. Not to mention you can push send on an email and more exciting stuff coming. We are super empowered. Our ability to reach people and communicate has fundamentally shifted this industry. Our ability to do that. So, do you think you'd want to start to get good at this thing called communication and harnessing the power of technology? You don't have to be a geek. You don't have to be an expert. But you want to use it where it's appropriate. You want to use some of the new technology to empower yourself to do this industry. Somebody over here, I think it was Robin, mentioned structure. The structure has shifted, hadn't it? The hierarchy. We used to have very much a pyramid hierarchy in the world of power, and now it's flattened. You can even say it's like this now. It's a reverse. So we want to take full advantage of that. Yeah, there's unlimited opportunity in this kind of structure, where this structure, you start at the bottom, you spend your life trying to fight your way up the corporate ladder, and you wait for this guy to die or get gone somehow so you can have that top job. Because there's only one top job. And there's, a dozen vice presidents all clamoring for that top job.
Another form of scarcity.
Yeah, a form of scarcity. A scarcity of access to power. Here, the concept of 6 degrees of separation. You can get to anybody in the world within 6 people and they know somebody, and they know somebody, and they know somebody, and they know Tom Cruise. I don't know. They know somebody, right? Now we have access to the power. The structure has fundamentally shifted. Yes, another thing that shifted is what? You had your hand up? Yes.
Oh, it's sort of along the same lines as Chris. I was thinking corporate structure versus lifestyle freedom.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, the corporate structure, which is the old model of work and wealth creation, for lifestyle freedom. And we'll just call it the corporate structure. Yeah, that's 9 to 5. 9 to 5, and the boss tells you what to do, and you got to work at the factory or at the office. Yeah, so it's dress, and it's attendance, and location. So now we have location freedom, we have time freedom, we have lifestyle freedom. So this is about lifestyle, and this was about fitting in. This is about you molding your personality and your life circumstances to conform, and this is about creating a life that makes your soul sing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that really speaks to what Mark just said about giving your power away and being empowered.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the old versus the new is that the more we can come into our own power, the more we can stand in that place,
Yeah.
then the more wealth we have.
There you go. So here's a couple thoughts about wealth creation and wealth consciousness. What Krista just said is critical. In the old economy, part of the strategy for success was fitting into this mold or being a certain way and fitting into this hierarchical structure, fitting into this mold. And if you played the game, you get rewarded with success, meaning money and power and position, the perks. Here in network marketing, it's a radically different way to get wealthy. And that is you become more of who you authentically are. And that's, when I first heard that in this industry, it was tough for me to get my head around because I had a background in here. I was successful here. I could do the game, yeah. And it took a lot of unpacking for me to, first of all, find out who am I really, not who was I told to be, who was I trained to be, who was I molded to be, but who am I really? And then to let that monkey out of the cage, right? Because that part of the me was pretty much strapped down and caged, right? That's a real challenge for a lot of us. Now, I don't know that it'll be such a big challenge for our children, our grandchildren. Maybe they'll watch us and, you know, it'll be easier for them. I don't know. But I know for a lot of us, it is not the easiest thing. First of all, to figure out who we are, and then to celebrate that. Not to hide it, but to actually celebrate it. And what I know is in this business, wealth follows consciousness. Wealth follows authenticity and integrity. And I think there's a real secret there. In the old economy, we're paid for what we do. In the new economy, we're paid for who we are. Who we are and what we do. But what we do from who we are. Here we're paid for what we do based out of a job description. In network marketing, we're paid for who we are and who we can share that with, who we can influence, and who we can invite, essentially, to be more of themselves. Who we can invite to come join the party. Yeah.
I really see the old pattern as being from the head,
Uh-huh.
and the new is coming from the heart.
Ah, very good. The old comes from the head and this comes from the heart. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, please.
First, I was like, whoa, your
Yay.
the
Woo-woo.
new comes from the sweet spot.
Ah, the sweet spot. Yeah.
What's ease? What's that? Ease versus effort. Yeah.
Yeah. Deeds versus effort.
Ease.
This is kind of human doing, and this is sort of human being. Yeah.
There's also something too about victim mentality.
Yeah. The victim mentality.
And
Yeah.
It's back to the empowerment part where,
Yeah.
oh, this is happening to me.
Yeah.
New is like, oh wait, I'm taking responsibility
Yeah.
for my life.
Yeah, this is all about taking full responsibility for all of it. I'm responsible for me. I'm responsible for how I interact with you, how my presentation lands with you, how you respond to me, how I am about that. I'm responsible for my team, my company, my industry, my world. I own it all here. I own it all, and then I can have it all. Here, I'm sort of put into a place, and there's an area of responsibility, but it's not me owning it. It's me being responsible for the outcome. Here, I'm responsible for it all.
Surviving versus thriving.
Surviving versus thriving. That's a great way to put it. Yeah. And, interesting, and I use the old economy, and I'm talking about, in general, the corporate world and that kind of thing, which most of the employment has been. Isn't it true that the rewards are circumscribed, they're limited here? You're allowed what you're allowed. And here, in the new economy, it's unlimited. The guys who invented Facebook and Google and, they're outrageous. At whatever age they are, 30, 40, they're gazillionaires. Some of the richest people on the planet's ever known. Nobody told them, well, here's all you can have.
And they did it having fun and being creative.
They did it having fun and being creative. Excellent. And it's worth us looking at those models and seeing some of the things they did that we can do right now in network marketing. Yes?
In the old, it's this is like follow and not be inspired to
Yeah.
your dreams or kind of cookie cutter.
Yep.
And then the new, it's
Yeah.
the ceiling and igniting our passions and fuels
Yeah.
and dreams and
So the old
what else is possible.
it was cookie cutter, and now this is about igniting passion and dreams. Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Let's look at how investment works in the old economy and new economy. In the old economy, we invested in real estate, stocks, and bonds. In the new economy, what's the smartest investment you can make? Probably everybody knows at this point, today anyway, real estate is not a great investment, right? We've seen the bubble burst. We've seen the bubble pop. There's other bubbles following. You could say certain commodities are in bubbles. Certain industries are in bubbles. What is a great investment in the new economy, given that what was just said about creativity and about, being ourselves and authenticity and self-expression and investing in people. And who are the most important people to invest in? Like, who's the most important person to invest in? Me. I am the most important thing. And isn't it true in the old economy, you could get trained, you could go to school or graduate school and become a plumber, doctor, nurse, teacher, I don't know, whatever. You get trained for a career, and you could work that whole career, your whole life, and then retire. But in the new economy, how many people have 40-year career plans? Probably not many. In the new economy, isn't it true that people, I think the average I read somewhere was like you have 6 careers in your lifetime? If you're working 40 years, you can figure that out, about 8 years per, right? 7 or 8 years per. Isn't it true that in the old economy, that building on that structure, education was a commodity, that you got some and then you built on that? In the new economy, what's education look like? Is it possible it's lifetime education? And it's not learning skills, it's learning personal growth, development. Yeah, it's working more with our humanness, life skills, life education.
What do you love doing and going to do it?
Yeah, self-knowledge, finding out what you love doing and then going and doing it. The new economy has a different dynamic. Investing here in ourselves and other people is critical. Wouldn't we say that some of the characteristics, the personal characteristics we need in the old economy are different? Was necessarily adaptation or flexibility necessarily a hallmark of the old economy? Maybe in some industries, but a lot of it was, somewhat rigid and following a certain path. In the new economy, do you think adaptation is important? Yeah, being flexible. Who would have predicted the rise of the internet 25 years ago? Nobody. Maybe Al Gore, but nobody else. And what's coming down the pike in the new economy? I don't know. But I know the rate of change is accelerating. It's not getting slower. It's not getting slower. When I have mentioned in the past, we went from a hunter-gatherer society to an agrarian society to the industrial age to the service economy to a knowledge economy. Now we're in a new virtual economy, virtual networks. The amount of time from hunter-gatherer to agriculture was something like maybe 100,000 years. From agriculture to the industrial age was about 5,000 years. From the industrial age to the service economy was about 200, 300, 250 years. From the service economy to the knowledge economy was 30 years, 40 years. And then it's compressing and compressing and compressing and compressing. And we have not seen the end of human evolution. I'm pretty clear about that. There's more coming. It's called adapt or die. We've got to be able to embrace change. We have to be able to embrace and welcome change. And in network marketing, given what we just have been through recently, like in the last hour, right?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think it's helpful to embrace change? Yeah, absolutely. Do you think you have to be nimble and ready to seize opportunity when it comes your way? Absolutely. So not only do these require different educational processes and different ways of being in a workplace, but they require different attitudes, different ways of trusting life. In the old economy, I would trust my employer, I'd trust the government, I'd trust all that stuff. And I'm not saying those are untrustworthy today, but I'm saying my locus has shifted to trusting me and my connection to my deeper self, and trusting the people around me and the government. And yes, those haven't gone away. We'll always govern ourselves. There'll always be some form of money. But the empowerment comes from within me, not from somebody else, not from somewhere else, not from some credential granting institution that says you have an MBA or a degree in this and therefore you're a worthy person. In network marketing particularly, because we are on the edge of capitalism. This is the front edge of capitalism, in my opinion. And I call it maybe capitalism 2.0. A lot of people in the world are probably aware capitalism needs to evolve, because in the old capitalist model, it was, there were some areas. Today, we look back and we say, oh, those poor stupid people, they were abusing each other. Well, no. I don't agree with that assessment, and I'll tell you why. Because you can look in the third world today and we say, oh, well, this company's producing tennis rackets in some third world country that, has horrible working conditions, and there's, people working 8 hours, 10 hours, 12, 15 hours a day. But, in that situation, if I was there and my kids were sick and there was no medicine available, I'd be happy for a job. Give me a job. So in context, what people did in the past was what they did in the past. For us to judge them based on today's criteria, maybe not fair. However, I think we can all agree that we're not at the end point of human development. We're not at the end point of capitalism. We're now into a capitalist model where human values are infusing into the old structure, like integrity, authenticity, self-reliance, team building, adaptive behaviors, being able to embrace change. How do we apply that to network marketing? Well, I would say rather than get what, I have people come up because I've had a bit of a history in academia, and they say, what should I do? Should I stick with this major? Should I get this degree? And I go, you know what? Depends on what you want to do with it. If you want to be a doctor, I want you going to a degree-granting institution because I want to know you're credentialed and you have this body of knowledge to work on my body. However, if you're thinking about becoming wealthy or being an entrepreneur, no, I would not recommend that. There's no slam to what they do. It's just that is the old paradigm. What I do recommend you do is invest in yourself, invest in your consciousness, invest in your knowledge, invest in your wisdom and understanding of human beings, primarily yourself, and then by extension, people around you, because that will serve you well going forward. So how many of you, or I should say how many of us, have read a book or listened to a tape or watched a video on personal development in the last week or month? You see, here's the key. We invest in ourselves, 1 in, 100 out. Ongoing education, critical. And perhaps the best education is in the field, on the coalface, actually working, prospecting, enrolling another human being in my dream, and doing it in such a way that they see benefit for themselves in the dream. That's an education.
Or enrolling them in their dream.
Exactly, enrolling them in their dream. So creating space for another person to have what they want. Let's look at some of the behaviors in the new economy that really, really work. First of all, giving value, giving greater value than what we expect return for. You think that would be a good strategy? We had an opportunity to hear about giving away information. So take a company like Google or Facebook. They don't make anything. They give away intellectual property, don't they? They give great value. Anybody think you got your money's worth from Google or from Facebook? Many times over, right? They haven't asked me for $1 directly. And I've gotten tremendous value. So in my mind, they're great. Love the brand. Yeah. Yep. They have tremendous value because they've given so much more than I had a right to expect. I'm delighted with what they've given me. I'm delighted. So wouldn't it make sense for us to use that kind of behavior in the new economy, to give excellent service to the people in our life without expectation of direct reward for it? To be a good friend, to be a mentor, to be an educator, to be a support, to be a way shower or a guide for them through whatever area of expertise you have. Maybe it's being a great parent. Maybe it's being a great business person. Maybe it's being a great health coach. I don't know what it is for you, but I know you have something to offer. And by offering that generously and authentically and with no expectation of return, you're building what we call your brand. You're building goodwill. Now, that's not the reason to do it. It's just a way of being in the world that will then, when you do go with a value proposition like, I've got this great product. They go, well, you've helped me so much with health and nutrition. I trust you. Trust is the currency in the new economy. Trust. It's the respect that you get for giving and being seen as an expert that is the currency of the new economy. I trust Google. I trust that when I type in some question, it's going to give me the answer without some kind of overt agenda. It's going to give me an honest answer based on whatever their criteria are. They built up that trust for me. Yes, please.
So maybe another piece also of the new economy is transparency.
Yeah. The new economy is extremely transparent. Are there any secrets today on the internet? Look, Google yourself sometime if you want an eye-opener. I have. It's pretty remarkable what is being said about each of us all the time. Extreme transparency. And do you think is that going to go away, or is that going to get more? The amount of surveillance possible. Here's I'll just digress for a second. Would you kind of lose it a little bit if I told you that you, in maybe 5 or 10 years, will have monitors on your body that will tell you just about everything about your physical condition, your buying habits, who you're talking to, how fast you drive, what kind of neighborhoods you visit, what kind of substances you ingest, maybe even what kinds of thoughts you're thinking. And this was being monitored by huge corporations, and you did it all voluntarily. You did it willingly. You actually invited them to examine all this data. Does that sound a little weird? A little radical?
Very weird.
Yeah. You might even pay for the privilege of doing this. Now, you know why that would be? Because if that happened to be your insurance company, and they could accurately give you pricing based upon what you ingest, your weight, your body function, who you talk to, what neighborhoods you visit, and how fast you drive, and what you think, whether you're stressed a lot or not, and because you said, well, I'm happy to do that because I get a better rate.
It's already started.
Yeah. So what I'm pointing out is that transparency is something to be embraced. Be conscious, be a conscious consumer of who knows what, but the rules have shifted. If you're the head of a downline of 100,000 people or 5,000 people, and you walk in a room, do you think they're all going to look and see what you're wearing, how you're acting, who you're talking to, what you're saying, what kind of attitude you've got? Yeah, you betcha. And you can either avoid that or you can embrace that. If in fact success is you being more authentically who you are and more an expression of the joy and the goodness in your life, what's to fear? If you're wearing some old role that no longer fits, yeah, maybe you want to go hide out somewhere. I don't know. I don't know what that's all about. But to embrace this new way of being is what will what will attract people to you. People will want to be around you because you're authentic and because you're living your joy and your passion and you're contributing way more to people than you ever asked for back. You're giving such great value that they just want to be in your space. And you're inclusive and you're inviting people to have their dream and you're in service to them, profound service to them. People will want to be around you so much that they'll follow you into their own fears, right? They'll because you say, I believe in you, they'll face their own fears and move through or engage.
So it's kind of like this is a service economy, but in a whole new way.
Yeah.
Because in order to live in that space, the bottom line has to be, I am in profound service.
Yes.
to you.
Well put. The new service economy. The new service economy is service with a capital S. Service. Meaning you're servicing, you're offering something on a profound level to another human being that makes a huge difference. You're not just working on their washing machine. And there's always a place for that too. But in the process of doing that, you're contributing who you are, which is the greatest gift we can give anyone. Yes, please.
Yeah, and kind of to piggyback on that, like our old model has been we've had to sacrifice ourselves.
Sacrifice, yeah.
In that service, and
Yeah.
that maybe it wasn't okay to be abundant or
Yeah.
money or
Yeah.
to live life fully. So with this whole switcheroo,
Yeah.
it's like we can have and be and
Yeah.
do anything, and
Yeah.
that's so welcome.
That's beautiful. Beautifully put. In the old economy, we had to sacrifice our individual authenticity and who we truly are for something, and money. And now, you know what part of your job is as Crown Diamond in the industry? Is to live an outrageously fulfilled life and to be seen doing so. That's it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.